Our first guest is the former Georgia House Minority Leader and a voting rights advocate who ran a historic campaign for governor in 2018. Please welcome the amazing Stacey Abrams. Hi.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for taking the time. You must be very busy, and we're taping this a week before it airs, so who knows what's happened in that time. But what do you think about the charges in George Floyd's murder?
My deep hope is that these charges actually lead to justice. We have seen this happen before. The demonstrations demanding action, some action is taken, but when the demonstrations stop, the action abates. Basically, these officers get exonerated. And I think what's so critical at this time is that we see justice fully play out, that they are held accountable for their behavior in the same courts that we would have sent another bad actor to.
Yep, I've said this before, but I can't even imagine what would happen if they aren't convicted to the full degree that they deserve to be convicted. It would cause a whole new wave of trouble. So let's hope that that happens. And not just George Floyd's death, but Ahmaud Arbery's murder happened in your state. And that happened under the claim of citizen's arrest, so that is a whole different issue. That's not police brutality. Let's talk about that for a minute.
Well, when people are calling for systemic justice, it's not simply ending the extrajudicial killings performed by law enforcement. It's also a judicial system that allows others, especially white people, to believe they have the authority and the color of law behind them so that they can take the life of others. But it was also the challenge of, once these men murdered Ahmaud Arbery in the streets, the district attorney, the sheriff, the police, they all refused to take action. These men were released on their own recognizance. They were never charged. It took 74 days to get the justice system to actually start to respond to what happened to Ahmaud Arbery. And we can't forget what happened to Breonna Taylor in Louisville. Using the law of no-knock warrants, they broke into her house and they shot her in her sleep. This is a woman who did nothing but try to save lives, and she was murdered by the very people who were her colleagues in arms, who should have protected her. And so we have to expand our notion of what we talk about when we talk about justice. It's not simply stopping the police from killing Black people and brown people. It's also making certain that the justice system serves their interest and that justice is actually done.
Yeah. So voting is probably one of the most important things that everyone can do right now to help change this systematic racism, and everybody that's in power that is not doing anything to help, basically inciting it. Voter suppression, which affected you in the governor's race. I mean, we're trying to use the platform on our show to educate viewers who might not be aware of how that is contributing to the loss of Black lives. If you want to address that for a minute.
Thank you. It's three things. It's, can you register and stay on the rolls? Can you cast a ballot, and does your ballot get counted? And in that means if you live in a state like Georgia or Ohio, yes, you might be able to get on the rolls. Well, will they purge you because you didn't vote in a few elections? If you live in Wisconsin, are you required to have a voter ID? That means you have to show an original birth certificate, which a lot of folks born during segregation, for example, won't have because they were not allowed to be born in white hospitals. And it says your ballot count. We know across the country, including in Georgia and Florida and a number of other states, absentee ballots or provisional ballots are thrown out, or worse, they're never allowed to be cast at all. And so we have to look at the entire network of voter suppression. It's no longer one thing. It's any impediment that disallows an eligible voter to cast their ballot. And if it's under the color of law, if it's done by those responsible for our access, then it is voter suppression, and we need to wipe it out.
I think that's the one thing that everyone should start really looking at early on. If you're going to vote by absentee, by mail, if you're going to, and wherever you live, you need to do the research starting now almost to make sure you're eligible to vote. Because if you wait too late, then we don't hear that voice. Trump is already saying that voting by mail is shouldn't happen. It's fraudulent. Which is, again, I'll let you speak to that.
Well, he actually told the truth once when he said that the reason he doesn't like vote by mail it's because he doesn't think he could get reelected if everyone actually voted. There is no voter fraud, and voter fraud is largely mythical. There are handfuls of examples, but even the most arduous defenders of the voter fraud idea, the Heritage Foundation, have only found 1,300 examples out of 625 million ballots that were cast between 2000 and 2020 in just federal elections. Let's just count federal elections. Voter fraud is not the problem. It doesn't happen. It doesn't change elections. It does not exist in any meaningful way. But what they're trying to block is voter participation, because they know that in a pandemic, the easiest way to protect everyone is to allow people to vote by mail, because we have some folks who don't have that choice. Those are the people who need to go to vote on election day. Everyone else should be allowed to vote early through vote by mail. And the reason they're worried is they know that this is a year where the elections truly matter and that people are energized. And if they can stop them from voting by mail, they think they can shut us up, and we need to prove them wrong.
We sure do. This is the most important election I think we've ever had in this country. This is a critical time, and I just want to keep talking about how people can get prepared to vote, because that is the absolute necessity on all levels. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back more with Stacey after this.
Hi, I'm Andy. Ellen asked me to remind you to subscribe to her channel so you can see more awesome videos, like videos of me getting scared or saying embarrassing things, like ball peen hammer, and also some videos of Ellen and other celebrities, if you're into that sort of thing.